So tonight we're doing oils are not a health food, 5 deadly reasons why, okay? And the fact that oil is a health food, but people think that oil is a health food is a very common misconception. And most people have never heard that it's not a health food and that they shouldn't cook with it and they should not be putting it on their food, right? I would say that people who are not in the whole food plant-based world, who have not ever heard of this, they just have never heard of such a thing, right? So if you've never heard of it, I really want to explain it in detail and answer any questions that you have. And if you have heard this, then I want you to hear it again, right? Because, and this is especially for you if you are currently still using oil in your food, right? So you know I'm talking directly to you. You know who you are, who's still using oil in your food. I'm also talking to those of you who are in this group. You've been here a while. You have seen and heard the weight loss, health success stories and transformations, but for some reason you're not convinced that this is the right thing for you, and you are possibly still eating animal foods, still eating oils, and you're not convinced that it makes all the difference between disease and healthy and fat and fit. And I'm talking to you if that's you. And lastly, I have lived through this firsthand. So not only are my clients and people who work with me thrilled to find this out, but I have lived through it myself, and I'll tell you a little bit about that story as we go along. Hey, Kathleen, nice to see you. Gina, I haven't seen you in a while. Wonderful to see you. So let's dig in and let's talk about these 5 deadly reasons why oil is not a health food and what this means to you. Okay, Scarlett says, super excited about this. No oil here. Need to know what to tell my friends who ask me about this all the time. So take notes, write bullet points down, and this will be a replay video so that you can always go back to it and, write these bullets down so that I want you to be able to understand it for yourself so well that you could explain it to other people. Even if you could explain 2 out of the 5, that would be awesome, right? So the most deadly reason, number 1, is that oils are dangerous to your health, is that the medical evidence is clear that oil is inflammatory to the artery linings made up of endothelial cells. Now, these endothelial cells, you don't have to write that part down, are responsible for keeping arteries flexible. So why do we want flexible arteries? Pretend that this is your artery, right? And you all of a sudden go to run up the stairs. And so when you go to run up the stairs, the artery expands and contracts with your heartbeat, right? But if it's all plugged up and it's got fat on all its sides and it's rigid and it's blocked, it stays like this, and then you're not feeling well trying to go up the stairs. So if you want to lead an active, vital, active lifestyle, then you want flexible arteries that do this when you move, when you breathe, when you exert yourself, when you kayak, when you climb, when you hike, when you go to yoga and hold your breath. All of these reasons, right, Scarlett? When you go to yoga and you take a big, giant, deep breath and then you let it out, you want your arteries to be flexible, okay? So you might be thinking, I remember hearing all of this about the Mediterranean diet was healthy for your heart. You might remember hearing something about that, right? So, hey, Camilla, nice to see you. Gail, you are new to the group. Welcome, I'm vegan coach Naomi, and we are talking about why oils are not a health food. And so Dr. Greger did a fantastic video on how the Mediterranean diet started this craze and what the researchers who then retook a look at all of these studies when the new studies started coming out showing the damaging effects of oil on the artery linings, those endothelial cells. So they looked back at those Mediterranean diet studies and they found that that it was the high degree of antioxidant and fiber in the fruits, the vegetables, the grains, and the beans, as well as the stress-less lifestyle, the active lifestyle that the Mediterranean people were living, as well as their relationships. And all of these things conspired to actually mediate olive oil's impairment on the endothelial cells. So it was a whole lifestyle thing, right? And interestingly, we did a big lifestyle quiz last time. If you are new in the group or you missed the live stream lifestyle quiz, you can type in the comments hashtag lifestyle quiz and I will tag you in that video. That is an interactive video where you're going to draw a pie chart of your lifestyle and track it all as we go through the quiz. That was super fun, right, Scarlett? Wasn't that fun? So number one, the medical evidence is clear that oil, when you eat it, harms the artery linings, okay? Number two reason that oil is not a health food is that oil causes blockages in those same arteries. And here's what happens, right? That liquid fat is sticky and slimy, right? And so when the endothelial cells get inflamed, they're sort of roughed up a little bit. If you could imagine like petting a dog the other way, right? The opposite way that their fur grows, that's what happens to the endothelial linings when they're inflamed. And then this fat goes over it and parts of it get stuck in the inflamed cells and then it forms a plaque in the artery, right? It forms a plaque in the artery and then more and more until it's blocked. It causes blockages. Now, a blockage which leads to a rupture, right? And in the heart, this is called a heart attack. And in the brain, this is called a stroke, okay? So Dr. Esselstyn did the best study that there is to date showing how a no oil, whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating can actually reverse an existing blockage. And if you want that explained to you, go watch the documentary Forks Over Knives, which is available for free on Netflix, and you will be able to see him show you that actual photos of blockages being reversed. And you'll hear him explain why and how, which is super useful to always listen to an expert who has done this research, who has treated their patients clinically this way. And that's the way I want you to evaluate what you see online and what you hear and what you read. You always look at, where is this person practicing medicine? What have they done? Are they selling something? No? Okay then, right? If they're talking about the medical research and evidence, so you always want to be aware of that. So number two reason oils are not a health food is that they legit cause the blockages, okay? And the other thing that causes the blockages are the animal foods. And when you do animal foods and oils, you have a double whammy blockage machine, right? But even for vegans who eat a lot of junk food and cook with a lot of oil and eat a lot of oil, they can also have blockages. And this leads me to damaging effect number 3, which is that oils raise blood cholesterol levels, even though they are plant oils and they do not contain cholesterol. No plant foods contain cholesterol, right? But the truth is that the cholesterol test, the lipid test that you take when you get a cholesterol blood panel done, is called a lipid panel. What that very simply is a measure of fats, different types of fats in your blood, okay? So if you're eating oil, that's fat and it's in your blood, okay? So it's gonna raise those cholesterol levels. And I know firsthand because 5 years ago when I first went vegan, I thought, oh, all oils are good. Coconut oil's good. Olive oil's good. I'm going to cook with it all. I'm going to put it in my smoothie. I'm going to rinse my mouth with it. I don't know what the hell I thought, right? And so what happened the next time I went to the doctor is that my cholesterol was high. It was 203 and had never been high ever in my whole life. And so then I started sort of researching it, and I realized that I needed to do a whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating. And as soon as I did that, I went back 3 months later and my cholesterol was back down to 160. So it's a very stark action that happens when you eat oil, and when you discontinue it, the health benefits happen quickly. So, Karen, nice to meet you. I'm vegan coach Naomi. Welcome to the Plant Empowered Woman Show weekly Wednesday live stream. We're talking about why oils are not a health food. So that was my story about how I decided to eat oil when I first went vegan before I knew any better. And that's why I'm doing this. I don't want you guys to go through that and make these kinds of mistakes. These kinds of mistakes hurt your health. So I had a woman in my Plant Empowered Woman 12-week weight loss group. Her name was Heidi, and she came to me asking me, messaging me, you know, I've watched all the success stories in this group. I've seen all the weight loss you guys are posting about, and I want to know if it's oils and the junk food. Is that what's really causing all of my problems? And I was like, well, what are your problems? And she said, well, I went to the doctor recently and he said I had prediabetes and I was borderline high blood pressure and borderline high cholesterol. And he was threatening medications for all of these things. In 3 months when she was going to come back in October. And she said to me, is it really going to make a difference? And I said, you know, I know it's going to make a difference. And I explained all this to her. And I said, but why don't you ask the ladies in the group? Why don't you ask them what their experience has been? And so she made a post in our group here where you are. And she said, will it really make a difference if I avoid oil and I avoid junk food? And at the time she was addicted to McFrappes from McDonald's. Which is not vegan. So she was having a little bit of animal foods and she was having junk food and oils and things like that. And unanimously, people answered that it had made all the difference in their weight loss, in their health turnarounds, such as reducing high blood pressure, reducing high cholesterol, reversing diabetes and pre-diabetes, all of these things. And so she was like, okay, I'm in, I'm doing it. And Heidi joined my program and she did every worksheet. She made every meeting. She learned how to cook oil-free. She delighted her family, and even her husband lost 16 pounds, I think. And when she went back to the doctor, she had perfect blood pressure. She had perfect cholesterol, and her glucose levels were normal, and pre-diabetes was not a thing. And so she said she couldn't believe how she had stopped the downward spiral that her health was in, and that the oils and the animal foods had made all the difference. And so this is the same story with a personal trainer that I worked with named Suzanne. She watched What the Health, and she was like, oh my God, what have I been eating? And she adopted a whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating, and she didn't waste time having all that oil. She trusted me immediately and did it immediately. And she, even though she was a personal trainer, so really active, right? She had high cholesterol, and it was stubbornly high because she was thin. She wasn't overweight at all. So this can affect people who are not obese. And that's why this is so, so important. I really want to explain this to you. So within a few months of avoiding the oil, her cholesterol came down 40 points. And then a few months later, tested again, it came down another 40 points. And a few months later, came down again until it was completely like 160. Okay? And so, but that took her, I would say, 3, 6, 9 months. Very stubborn high cholesterol, and her high blood pressure she also had. As a personal trainer, you wouldn't think, right? Because she's so active. And she had all of these problems with her blood chemistry that were permanently reversed with the whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating that she found delicious. And it was the same with another woman, Rosanna, who was only 15 or 20 pounds overweight, but she had that stubborn high cholesterol, stubborn high blood pressure, and also a doctor threatening prediabetes and medications. And so she did the same thing. She had the same results. And anybody who's interested in reading more of these kinds of success stories in depth to see which type of woman's story you can really relate to, I'd be happy to put the link to a whole bunch of success stories in the comments. Just ask me #success stories, and I will make sure that I comment to you that link. Hey, Patty, nice to see you. Gail says, how do you nourish your hair without oils? Well, I did not say that we don't eat any fat or we never have omega-3 fatty acids. What I said is we don't have the plain oil, the liquid oil. So I will readdress that question because the very next thing I'm going to say might clear it up for you. Okay? Let's see who else is commenting. So Gail wants to know, how do you nourish your hair without oils? I'm getting to that next. And Janice says, thank you for explaining that. I didn't fully understand the reason why oils were recommended to be avoided. I'm not done yet. I'm up to reason number 4. We got 4 and 5 to still go. There's more. Okay, the number 4 reason oils are not a health food is that they are not a whole food. And isn't that strange? You would think, oh, olive oil, it's part of a whole food diet. No, it's not a whole food. Let's take olive oil, for example, or any oil. Could be walnut oil or the common avocado oil. But what's the whole food, right? The whole food is the olive. And what's in an olive? Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytochemicals, fiber, fluids, and essential fatty acids, where the oil comes from, right? All of these 7 beautiful things are in an olive. So you go to press out the oil and you're just taking out the fat, the pure liquid fat. It has no nutritive value, and it's not even the omega-3 fatty acids. It's more of an omega-9 and omega-6, not omega-3, right? So what do? We have this liquid fat, right, in a bottle, right? And we left all of the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, the phytochemicals, the fiber, and the fluids back in the olive. So we really want to eat the whole food to get our fats. And a classic whole food plant-based diet for disease reversal is called an 80-10-10 diet. That means 80% unrefined carbohydrates, 10% fat, and 10% protein. So 10% of getting your fats and your omega-3 fatty acids from whole plant foods. So what are those? Avocados, olives, flax is where you get your omega-3s. A tablespoon of flax meal is all the body needs for the recommended daily allowance of omega-3 fatty acids. 2 tablespoons of chia seeds is all it is for the recommended daily allowance for omega-3 fatty acids. And for walnuts, 1/4 cup is all it is. So that is how we get our fats for beautiful skin that glistens and nice curly flexible hair that doesn't break. Does that answer your question? Let me see, who was that asked me that? Gail, does that answer your question? We're getting the fats going into our bodies from whole foods. So, and here's the other thing. So when we eat the whole foods, right, the fat is bound to the fiber and all those other nutrients that I listed off. And your body sucks in all of those nutrients, right? The vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, the phytochemicals, the fiber, which slows down the absorption of the fat. And your body uses all those nutrients as it flows slowly through the body and out the other side. So when you're pouring it on your food, when you're pouring just the fat on your food, it is going straight into your cells and not being used the same way as it exists in the natural foods with the oils in them. Does that make sense, everybody? Ida says, I just found out Weight Watchers no longer recommends daily pills. I don't know what that means. Oh, daily oil. She told me, oh yeah, Ida just joined my digital plant-empowered woman 12-week weight loss program, and she was telling me that she is a Weight Watchers survivor, for lack of a better word, right? And that they used to recommend 2 teaspoons of oil daily or something. She went on, I said, that sounds crazy. And she went on there and she looked up to say that Weight Watchers no longer recommends daily oil. So thumbs up for Weight Watchers. Tracy says, there's no chance my hair will become curly, but it is the healthiest it's ever been. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Now you know the reason why. Gail says, yes. Okay, Donna says that makes sense. Yes, makes perfect sense. Okay, so let's get to reason number 5, and I'm going to do a fun demonstration for you. Let's hope I don't spill it all over my notebook with my notes. So here's reason number 5, that oils are not a health food, okay? These pure oils that we were just talking about actually come out to be 120 calories per tablespoon. They are the most calorie-dense food on the planet at 4,000 calories per pound. But we don't really just use 1 tablespoon, do we? Let me know if you're ready for a fun food demonstration. Tell me, heck yes. All right, so let me show you this, okay? So we don't really eat 1 tablespoon of oil, do we? Right? We have a pan here for people who are using oil. We have a pan. Let me push this down just a skosh. So here we have a pan, right? And here we have our oil. So pretend I'm cooking over a stove, right? So here I go. I pour my oil in like that, right? And there it is. So let's see, how much are we really putting in? Maybe some people actually measure it and they're actually putting in 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon or whatever they say they're doing. But the majority of people, Nan said, Kale, yeah. The majority of people are not. They're putting in this much. They're doing what I just did in the pan, glug, 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 like that. So let's measure what's in the pan. Okay, let's do it, shall we? Let's see what it actually comes out to be. So, and this is a tablespoon, okay? So here we go. Let me just put this underneath me in the right place. Okay, here we go. 1 tablespoon. See that? 1 tablespoon. And here we go again. Here we go again. Almost 2 tablespoons. Almost 2 tablespoons. Okay? So 2 tablespoons is 240 calories. Now, what's left in the pan? What do you notice about the pan, you guys? Type into the comments what you're noticing about the pan. What's that goo stuck to the pan? Why does it move so slowly? And how much is that? Okay, so imagine that this is your arteries. This is your tongue when you eat oil. This is what's left on your esophagus that is causing that horrible heartburn that you always get after you cook an oily dinner or you go out to dinner or you eat a lot of junk food. This is what's lining your intestines and causing the bloating and the gas and the diarrhea. This is what's happening, okay? So remember that, okay? So what do you guys think about the way that coated the pan and it does not really move, okay? So one thing that it is good for, I will tell you, is that you can rub it on your nails. Okay, that's one thing that you can do. So when you put these oils on your skin, they do not cross the lower skin levels. They do not go into your bloodstream. So that's something that you can do with the bottle of olive oil that you are never going to eat again. Now, I just showed you that it's nearly 2 tablespoons of oil. So left in the pan for people who are cooking with oil, and they take their oil and they go glug, 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 glug. We did it in real life, right? Donna said, bleh. So thick oil that sticks, says Denise. Yes. Peggy, nice to see you. Peggy and Joellen, nice to see you. You missed the most important parts of this live stream on why oils are not a health food. And so when I get off of here, I highly, highly recommend that you go back and listen to the beginning of this. It's only 20 minutes or 15 minutes or so, but it's very, very important for you guys to know this. Donna says, I'm not liking it. The demo is very impactful. All right, so that was the demo of just the cooking, the amount of oil that's in the pan, 240 calories. Now let's say you had a salad and you're still using oil salad dressing, right? So how much salad dressing do you put on? Do you measure 1 tablespoon? Probably not. You're probably like blah, 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 right? If you're anything like I used to be, that's what I used to be like. So another 2 tablespoons. And that's if you are not as generous as maybe some other people, which could be 3 tablespoons. So that's another 240 calories. Then let's say you met a friend at Panera and you had a fun lunch. Well, everything that you eat out to lunch is loaded with oil. Everything that you eat in any restaurant or that you buy that's a processed packaged food or a ready-made meal is loaded with oil. Not just a little bit, a lot. So let's put on another 240 calories. And then let's say you wanted a bag of potato chips, or you even just made spaghetti with sauce. Most things, when you are not aware of it, have oil. So I advise you to go back to your pantry, check your salsa, check your sauce, sauces of all kinds. Look at your dressings. Look at all your prepared packaged foods and look at all the oil in it. So we talked about what's in the pan, what's in the salad, eating out, and the junk food. And this is all in one day of what a person just normally does without thinking about it. So that comes to 240, 240, 240, and 120 calories, which is 840 calories. And I know this because I tested it on myself. Now, how could anybody maintain their weight if they are eating 840 calories of pure fat added to their food typically on a day? Maybe some days are less and maybe some days are more, and they actually had pizza with all of that oily stuff dripping all over it. So what do you think now about oil and your weight problem? What do you think now? So that's not all that the oil does. Because it is so high in calories, but the volume is so little, when it's sitting in your stomach, it doesn't fill up your stomach at all. And I do a big explanation of this, showing the different stomach volumes and different foods in the stomachs. Many of you may have seen that. If you have been my client or you're currently in my weight loss group, then you have seen that in my webinar where I show you how the volume, when you're eating oil and animal foods, the stomach volume is actually very low for the amount of calories. And so your stomach, your appetite regulation system, it works on stretch receptors. So when it feels the volume getting bigger in your stomach, it says, hey, stop. But when you eat a lot of really high calorie, fatty food, it doesn't ever get filled up and it doesn't say, hey, stop. So these oils trick your stomach. They derail your innate appetite regulation system. And so now is this starting to make sense to you about why it's so hard to control your weight when you're eating animal foods and oils? Donna says, I think cutting out the oil itself will make you lose weight. Actually, it doesn't do much as long as you're still eating animal foods, because animal foods is where all the cholesterol is coming from and the saturated fat. So you got to get rid of the animal foods first and then stop the oil. And if you saw Lori, who posted in our group just was it early this week? Was it just like Monday or Tuesday or something? She posted that she couldn't believe, she gave up, she started avoiding oil on January 5th. And she went whole food, plant-based, no oil all the way. And I think she's lost up to 22 pounds now. But the most amazing thing is she just posted in the group at how amazing everything tastes and how she's really tasting all the different aspects of the foods that she's eating and how wonderful it is. And she didn't realize how the oil was coating her tongue and blunting her taste buds. And this is true. When you eat this oil-free food, it tastes so amazing. Peggy, when we did, I did a cooking party with pad thai zoodles and noodles with Peggy and Joellen. That was oil-free. Could you just taste everything popping, those flavors? When you don't have the oils on there coating your tongue, it's absolutely amazing. So Deb says, very illustrative. Donna says, very clear. Lori says, me. Gail says, oh, I quit coffee 7 cups a day. Good for you. Oils in the unfiltered perked coffee. Well, I'm glad that you did that. Lori is up to 24 pounds now. Peggy says, totally agree on how good that tastes. Right. So you can test this yourself by simply doing what Lori did and discontinuing oil completely and giving it a try. Now, in my 12-week whole food, plant-based, plant-empowered woman weight loss group, I work on teaching you how to read labels. I work with you personally on cleaning out your cabinets, on making a whole food plant-based menu that you will love because it's only made up of whole plant food dishes that you already know how to cook, that you love, that are oil-free. And so this way you start without the overwhelm and you actually feel and see the results from day one. Am I right, Ida? Did you stop the oils and the eggs, the last remaining animal product, and she was still eating oils? Did you stop the eggs and the oils on Saturday and lose like 3 pounds from then to now? Let us all know. Is that true? Peggy says, veggies have never tasted so good. Yeah, so you can test this yourself by discontinuing the oil completely and just giving this a try. If you need recipes, type in the comments #recipes and I will give you a link to my original whole food plant-based no oil recipes. They are designed to be easy and delicious because anybody who's ever worked with me knows that in order for this to be permanent way of life, in order for you to really feel the shift, you know, from chronic disease to health, from fat to fit, like that shift, it's got to be delicious. You've got to love it. You have to really love it. And so that's what I specialize in my recipes. So if you want the link to, you know, so that you can browse through my recipes by picture, I suggest you pick by picture. Let me know in the comments, just type #recipes. So, Ida says, yes, lost weight like immediately. Yeah. So let me address a couple of the questions that came on this topic when I announced to ask me questions on this topic. So, Christine Hall, who is on the West Coast, so she might not be on this now, but I want to address her question. It's a great question. She said, what's with Dr. Gundry online selling his special healthy olive oil? All right, so remember when I was talking about Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn in Forks Over Knives, and I said, whenever you're evaluating experts who are saying things online, even me, or whatever you're listening to or whoever's video you're watching on YouTube, look at the caliber of the person. Look at whether they are working with patients and clients and having results with what they're doing. Look at whether it matches the medical evidence and they're citing the medical evidence. And finally, look at whether they are selling something, a product. So Dr. Gundry sells supplements, but in this particular Facebook flood of bullshit, he is selling olive oil, and he's saying to buy his olive oil because his olive oil is the best. But we just talked about 5 reasons, very serious reasons based on medical evidence on why olive oil is not a health food. So we in this group cannot be duped by that kind of bullshit, can we? So so that leads me to Donna's question, who asked, she said, does heating the oil make it worse? And so what the studies have shown is that heating the oil or processing it more, compared to like cold pressed, reduces the antioxidant activity. So yes, it makes it more inflammatory. But it's already inflammatory, so heating it just makes it more inflammatory. So that's the answer to that question. And then Deb Brock asked, does vitamin E oil, the vitamins, that come in those little yellow capsules, does vitamin E oil count as oil consumption? So yeah, all oil counts as oil consumption. And so I'd rather see you eat the flax meal or the chia seeds. I'd rather see you add a little bit of avocado to your dish when it's gonna make your dish amazing. I'd rather see you actually eat the olives, right? All of that kind of thing. So, and for those of you who are on fish oil pills for cardiovascular health or for brain health, that's another load of bullshit that is not based in the medical evidence. And if you would like to see Dr. Greger on nutritionfacts.org debunk that by showing the various studies, I can put the link to that video as well. You just let me know, type #fish oil, and I'll put the link to that video. So, so who still wants to eat oil? Who still in this group has a question about whether or not it's good for you or not? So, yes, Donna, it changes it chemically. Yes, it does. It changes it chemically. So the point is that women who adopt a whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating, women who work with me, they start to feel better and notice results from day 1. They overcome the overwhelm. They know exactly what they want to eat, and they commit to making the change and transforming their lives. So to drop the weight, to drop the meds, drop the emotional baggage. And I want to work with you. If that's you, I want to work with you. I want to take you by the hand, and I want to show you how you can do this for yourself, so that you can take back your health, right? One of my clients, Susie, the image that she uses about this is that her daughters are always inviting her kayaking every summer, and she told me that literally, she told us in group, she said that her ass did not fit in the kayak. And so that's her image for herself, for her to be inspired to live the lifestyle that she really wants, which is to get in that kayak and have fun with her daughters. Is this making sense to you guys? So Kate is saying, I stopped oil in January. And so I want you all to take back your health. I want you all to ditch the animal products and ditch the oils